we'll begin with revising which one? Costing. Number one, we'll revise the concepts first, then we'll go for cost sheet. There is the two areas. Okay. So, what is cost accounting is about? Simple. We find out the cost per unit, then we fix the selling price, and in the long run, we go for which one? Control the cost. And the information is given to the top management for decisions about various aspects. So these are the three functions of which one? A cost accountant. What do you mean by cost? Simple. The value of resources given up for a particular objective. For example, let's assume I do interior decoration for your house. What do you mean by value of resources? Number one, material. Number two, I don't employ any workers, but I work and do the interior decoration. Okay, I will assign a kind of a salary for myself while calculating the cost. That is the value of my time. That is the value of which one? Time. I use my own tools in fixing, etc. and all. Then I will put some notional rent for those tools. Okay, if it is hired, I have to pay. Since I own, I did not pay, but while calculating the cost, I will work out what? The tooling cost and other things. Clear? So that is what? Value of resources given up for a particular objective. Objective may be manufacturing a product or rendering what? A service. Clear? What do you mean by cost allocation? Cost allocation is the word that is used for what? Direct expenses. Direct expenses, otherwise called as traceable cost. Traceable cost. What do you mean by traceable cost? For example, let us assume you are in a college. Clear? What is traceable cost? For your department, whatever is separately spent, we call it as traceable cost. Let's assume you belong to commerce department. You belong to accounting and finance department. Okay. So you belong to accounting, finance department or commerce department. For your department, whatever is spent exclusively, teacher salary, notebooks, departmental activity expenses. They are called as which one? Cost allocation. Cost allocation refers to which one? Charging the direct cost. Charging all direct expenses to the cost center, we call it as which one? Cost allocation. Next, one more word we use, cost apportionment. Cost apportionment. What is cost apportionment? Simple. Apportioning common expenses. For example, for your college, there is a general maintenance expense. Example, building maintenance, electricity, non-teaching staff salary. So those things are common expenses. Okay, apportioning common expenses, simple, shared on a suitable basis amongst cost centers. Please note this, and we'll proceed. Live online friends also, please note this, a small short notes, then let us proceed. Sir, what is cost allocation? Charging direct expenses to the department concerned, or it is always called as what? Traceable cost. Traceable cost. For example, you're running 4 products or an organization with 4 different products. The direct material or direct labor or any direct expenses that can be directly traced with the department or product concerned, we call it as which one? Cost allocation. Charge it to the respective department. Then what is cost apportionment? Sharing the common expenses on a suitable basis. What is cost assignment? We assign direct expenses, we charge indirect expenses and find out which one. Cost of a job or order or what work, that we call it as which one? Cost assignment. For example, you are giving me an order. The order is simple, a dress to be stitched. Clear? So how will I calculate the cost? I will work out what are the material required. Labor 1, 2, 3, 4 required. Then designing expenses, number 4, and then other charges like packing and other charges expenses, subcontracting expenses if there is any. Like that, I will work out the cost and calculate the cost of a particular job. That we call it as which one? Cost assignment. Process of calculating the cost of a job or a work, we call it as which one? Cost assignment. Take it. Next, cost center. It can be a department, or it can be a location, or it can be time. Okay, it can be a product for which cost is incurred. Where no revenue will be there, only the cost is incurred. Only the cost is incurred. Let us take the factory of TVS Motors. They are having in 4 or 5 places. Each factory is a cost center. Each factory is a cost center. Each location is a cost center. Okay, let us assume the factory operates in morning shift, evening shift, night shift. Each shift will become what? A cost center. Each shift will become what? Cost center. Time-based cost center can be there. Okay. It can be product based. It can be which one? The product based. What do you mean by product based? For example, the company is making 2 or 3 products. Each product becomes which one? A cost center for which the cost is what? Calculated. Take up this. Please take up the short notes. Revenue center. Revenue center, responsible for bringing what? Revenue or generating income, or which one? Sales. The sales depot. Okay, the showroom. Those things we call it as which one? Revenue center. So cost center, only the cost is incurred. Expenses are spent. What is revenue center? They are responsible for bringing which one? Revenue. They are responsible for generating revenue or income, or which one? Sales. Next, profit center, where income will be matched with what? Expenses. Otherwise, it will have both income as well as cost. It will have both income as well as what? Cost. For example, branch. A branch will have income as well as what? The cost of running the branch. So they are responsible for creating which one? Profit. So cost center, revenue center, profit center, each one is a responsibility center. Each one is a responsibility center in a company. Then take up this. Cost center, revenue center, and which one? The profit center. Shall we? Next. This is cost center, revenue center, and which one? Profit center. Next, we'll move on to cost unit. What is cost unit? Method or you can say scale used for measuring the cost. method or scale used for which one? Measuring the cost. It depends upon the nature of the product and nature of the industry. For example, have this example because sometimes they test this in the exam. They ask you either match the following question or they will ask you what is the cost unit for this particular industry, like that. Construction, what is the cost unit? Construction, what is the cost unit? Square feet. Square feet can be the cost unit. Road laying, it can be square kilometer. What about oil mills? Can be liter. It can be which one? Liter. Okay. What about crude oil refinery? They work out cost per barrel. They work out which one? Cost per barrel. Then what about cloth making? Weaving factory. Cost per meter. They work out which one? Cost per meter. So like this. What about transport? Cost per kilometer. Cost per kilometer. Cargo transport. Nothing but goods. So they call it as ton kilometers. How many tons? How many kilometers? Cost per ton kilometer they work out. Then what about hotels? Hotels, that is lodging. They work out room days. Number of rooms into number of days they work out. Okay, like this. Depending upon the industry, the cost unit changes. Depending upon the industry, the cost unit changes. What about toy making? Or it can be ready-made, all the ready-made products. All ready-made products. Toy making, chocolate making, or it can be confectionaries, or it can be soft drinks making or filling. So they work out cost per batch. Cost per batch. A batch will consist of what? Number of units. What about bricks? Bricks making. They work out cost per 1000 bricks. Okay, so cost unit, it is a method or scale used for which one? Measuring the cost. It depends on the industry. It depends on which one? The industry. It depends on which one? The industry. Right? So this is about which one? Cost unit. So we have what and all we had seen. What is a cost center? What is a revenue center? What is a profit center? What is a cost unit? We had seen. So this is about cost unit. Done. Live online friends, have you taken up? In your material, you can find the example of cost units. You can find power, they work out cost per kilowatt, cement, cost per metric tons, automobiles, number of vehicles, audit firms, audit files are chargeable number of hours, hotels, they work out which one? Room days, hospitals, they work out patient days, goods transport, ton kilometers. In case of passenger transport, number of passengers into what? Kilometers traveled, like that. This thing you have to go through. This thing you have to go through. That is called as which one? Cost unit. Cost unit is nothing but method used for measuring the cost. Method used for which one? measuring the cost. Maybe in the online copy, the page number is 290 or 300. Actual page number might be different. So it will come in the cost unit. They would have given the meaning of cost unit. Unit of product or service in relation to which the cost is what? Ascertained. Depends on the nature of business. Depends on which one? Nature of business, like that. Next. What is the next one? Cost driver. Simple. The activity that influences cost. What activity influences your cost? That is called as which one? Cost driver. Activity that influences cost, we call it as which one? Cost driver. Example. Let's assume you are running a store like Domino's Pizza or Pizza Hut, or let us assume you are running a store like a supermarket. What about billing expenses? Billing expenses depends on sales revenue or number of customers or number of items billed. You have got people to bill. I mean, you can find a person who scans and bills. The billing executive salary or number of people that you appoint depends on sales revenue or number of products or number of customers or number of units sold. Whether the value is 5 lakh or 5,000, they take same time to bill. Okay, it not depends on customer also. One customer would have come with one product only. Another customer would have picked up about 50-40 products. So billing time and number of people required depends on what? Number of items sold, number of units sold. Okay, let's assume you are running a food restaurant. Okay, you are making door delivery also, free door delivery also. Door delivery expenses depends on sales or the quantity sold or number of customers or number of door delivery orders. So how many door delivery guys you will maintain or how many door delivery vehicles you will maintain depends on what? I mean the door delivery orders. Okay. What about inspection cost? You are running a fireworks manufacturing company. Fireworks like crackers, all those things. Okay. So what influences your inspection cost? Inspect panel before sending to customer. Inspection cost depends on number of units or number of batches. Because we will not inspect every unit. We will not inspect every unit. In a batch, we will take some samples and inspect are they working properly. So it is applicable for all the food products and other things. So cost driver means the activity that influences cost. Number of batches influences what? The cost of inspection and the money. So that is what we call it as which one? Cost driver. They would have given the meaning of cost driver. You can go through. That is what. Machine setup. Number of setting ups, inspection, number of inspection hours, ordering cost, number of orders, delivery cost, depends on which one, number of deliveries made and the money, they would have given the cost driver. We had seen cost allocation means charging which expenses, direct expenses, we call it as cost allocation, already we saw that. What is cost apportionment? Sharing common expenses. When costs cannot be directly assigned, then we share the cost. We share the cost like that. Okay. So no need of knowledge about cost accounting standard required. So this is about basics of costing. This is about which one? The basics of costing. Okay. So this is the first part in your costing. We had seen the meaning of which one? Cost accounting. And what is the meaning of cost? What is the meaning of cost allocation? Then what is the meaning of which one? Cost apportionment. Cost assigning means process of calculating the cost of a job or order work. For example, you go to a jewelry, you take a particular model and give an order, not purchasing ready-made, give an order. They will work out the cost. Sir, gold will be this much, copper will be this much, stones will be this much, making charges will be this much, wastage will be this much, this will be the GST. So they work out the cost, assign the cost and calculate what? Cost of a job and give it to you. So cost center, a department or location or time for which cost is what? Incurred. Revenue center is responsible for generating what? Income. What is profit center? where both incomes as well as what expenses will be there, you will match it. What is cost unit? The method or scale that is used for which one? Measuring the cost, we call it as which one? Cost unit. What is cost driver? The activity that influences cost, we call it as which one? Cost driver. Next, we are going to go with classification of cost. Based on relationship, it can be direct cost or it can be indirect cost. Two types of classification. Based on relationship, it can be either direct cost or which one? Indirect cost. We had seen the meaning of direct cost already. Traceable cost. Traceable cost, we call it as which one? Direct expenses. Common expenses. Common expenses means it is not spent for a product or department in particular, that is spent for 2 or 3 divisions. Traceable costs are allocated and indirect costs are what? Apportioned. Common expenses are apportioned. So based on how the cost is related, we call it as direct cost or indirect cost. For example, you are a part of a family. Okay, what is your direct cost to the family? What is the direct cost of you to the family? Dress, college fees, then institute fees, ICMA fees, then traveling expenses, then your own specific expenses. That we call it as which one? Direct cost, traceable with a particular person. What is indirect cost? Rent for the house, food expenses, common electricity charges. That we call it as which one? Indirect cost. Okay. Direct cost can be identified with a particular person, cost object, but indirect cost cannot be identified. They are what? Apportioned. This is based on which one? The relationship. Based on relationship. Based on nature. Definitely a question can be tested based on this. Variable, fixed, semi-variable. Then step cost. What is variable cost? Changes with output. What is fixed cost? Remains the same. What is semi-variable cost? What is semi-variable cost? Partly fixed and partly variable. What is step cost? Increases with capacity change. Okay. So changes with whatever changes with output, we call it as which one? Variable cost. What is output? It can be sales or production or number of units. So whatever changes with output, we call it as what? Variable cost. What is fixed cost? Whatever remains what? The same. Total cost remains the same. Semi-variable cost, partly fixed and what? Partly variable. Step cost increases with what? Capacity change. Let us go for a diagrammatic explanation. Sometimes they ask. Can you tell me what is x-axis and what is y-axis? So the horizontal axis represents cost. Horizontal axis represents which one? No, output. The vertical axis is called as what? X-axis we call it as output. The vertical axis, y is called as which one? We call it as cost. We call it as which one? Cost. Some costs are like this. Some costs are like this. Some costs are different. They don't start at zero. They start at a particular point, then after they grow. Then some costs behave like this. Okay, this one is a variable cost. The first cost we call it as which cost? Variable cost. Why? If the production increases, cost also will increase proportionately. Second, whatever may be the output, the cost is what? The zero. The cost is the same. Cost is the same. You manufacture 1 lakh units or 5 lakh units, the cost is what? Same. This is partly fixed and partly variable. This component is like a fixed cost component. The other component is which one? Variable component like that. That is called as which cost? Semi-variable cost. This is called as which one? Semi-variable cost. The last one is called as which one? Fixed cost. Question. Okay. They will not give you, all the expenses for a particular choice question. They will give you only one question. Output has increased from 1000 units to how many units? 5000 units. How many times increase in the output? 5 times. You can see 1 month, let's assume it is first month and this is second month, or first year or second year, like that. The output has changed from 1000 units to how many units? So whichever changes by 5 times is variable cost. Output per 5 times change directly. So whichever changes by 5 times, we call it as which one? Variable cost. Look at raw material cost, 20,000 to 1 lakh. It became what? 5 times changed. It becomes which one? Variable cost. Okay. So you can find that it's like raw material changed 5 times. 20,000 divided by 1,000. What is the per unit cost? 20. Per unit cost 20. Okay. So if you multiply 5,000 into 20, it will give us 1 lakh. It will give us what? 1 lakh. So it proportionately changes with output. It proportionately changes with what? Output. So we can call it as which cost? Variable cost. Variable cost. Otherwise, if you look at the property of variable cost, okay, variable cost per unit remains the same, and total variable cost changes. What is per unit variable cost for raw material? 20. Okay. Even if you do 1 lakh divided by 5,000, it will be 20 only. It will be 20 only. So variable cost per unit remains the same. Only the total cost changes. Even labor part. What was the labor cost when there was 1,000 units? 1 lakh. When it is 5,000 units, what is the labor cost? 50,000, which means it increased 5 times. So it is also which cost? Variable cost. Okay. So labor, maybe you can see 10,000 divided by what? 1,000. 10. So it's going to be 5,000 into 10. 5,000 into 10 is how much? 50,000. This is which cost? Variable cost. This is which cost? Variable cost. So variable cost per unit remains same, but only the total keeps what? Changing. Look at factory expenses. 10,000, 30,000. Is it changing by 5 times? 3 times only changed. So factory expenses changing but not totally changing. It becomes which cost? Semi-variable cost. No, semi-variable cost will have 2 portions. 2 portions. What do you mean by 2 portions? There will be a fixed portion and there will be a variable portion. How to identify variable portion? Please wait, you can copy it later. Change in cost divided by change in output. Change in cost divided by change in output. Whatever changes with the output, we call it as what? Variable cost. So factory expenses, look at 10,000 to 30,000. What is the change in cost? 20,000. Divided by what is the change in output? 1,000 to 5,000. What is the change in output? 4,000. So this will give us variable portion. This will give us what? Variable portion. How much variable portion? 5. Then what is going to be fixed portion? Okay, from total, eliminate variable portion. You will get which portion? Fixed portion. For example, what was the total cost when output was 1000? Factory expenses. Factory expenses. When the output was 1000, what was the total cost? 10,000. Right? From the 10,000, eliminate variable cost. What is variable cost? 5 rupees. So 1000 into 5. 1000 into 5. 5,000 variable. Balance is what? Fixed cost. You can verify with the other one also. When the output is 5,000 units, what is your labor cost? 50,000 minus 50,000. Sorry, total is factory expenses. Total is 10,000, 30,000. This is 30,000, right? 30,000. So 5,000 units into 5,000 units into 5. 25,000 is variable portion. Balance 5,000 will be which portion? Fixed portion. Here you can find what cost changes. What cost changes? What cost changes? Variable portion changes. Fixed portion remains what? The same. So factory expenses is a semi-variable cost. Factory expenses is a semi-variable cost. I repeat, change in cost by change in output will give us variable portion. Change in cost by change in output will give us which portion? Variable portion. From the total, this 10,000, 30,000, eliminate variable portion, 1,000 units into 5 rupees, 5,000 units into 5 rupees, you will get which portion? Fixed portion. So, factory overheads, fixed portion is 5,000, variable portion is what? Rupees 5 per unit. Then, administrative expenses, we know it is fixed. No need to work out. Why? Because whatever may be the output, the cost remains what? The same. The cost remains the same. It becomes which cost? Fixed cost. Selling expenses, it is changing. For 1,000 units, if it is 8,000, for 5,000 units, it would have changed by 5 times. But it changed, but not fully. So this is also which cost? Semi-variable cost. How to find out variable portion? Which one? Selling expenses. Selling expenses. Variable portion. Variable portion, change in the cost. What is change in the cost? 12,000 divided by what is the change in output? 4,000. 12,000 by 4,000 will give us variable cost per unit, 3 rupees per unit. In the same way, you can work out. From the total, eliminate variable cost, you will get which one? Fixed cost. We can take either 1,000 or 5,000 and work out. For 5,000 units, what is the total cost? 20,000. From this, eliminate variable portion. What is the variable portion? 4,000 into 3. 12,000. So what is the fixed portion? 8,000 fixed portion. You can even try with this also. For example, 8,000. 8,000. What is the variable portion? What is the variable portion? 1,000 into 3. Variable portion is 1,000 into 3. 1,000 into 3. 3,000. Sorry. 5,000 into 3. Not 4,000 into 3. 5,000 into 3. 15,000. Balance 5,000. 1,000 into 3, how much? 3,000. Balance 5,000 is which portion? Fixed portion. So selling expenses, what is the fixed portion? What is the fixed portion? 5,000. What is variable portion? 3 rupees. So if you look at what are all variable costs? Raw material is variable cost, 20 rupees per unit. Labor is variable cost, 20 rupees per unit. Factory expenses, variable portion is 5 rupees per unit. Then fixed portion is what? 5,000. Selling expense also, variable portion 3 rupees per unit. Fixed portion what? 5,000. Administrative expenses has not changed with output. That we call it as which cost? Fixed cost. So whatever changes with output, from this lot of things you have to understand. One is which one? Whatever changes with output, we call it as which one? Variable cost. Total variable cost keeps changing, but per unit fixed cost remains what? The same. What about fixed cost? Whatever may be the output, the total fixed cost will remain what? Same. Then what will happen to cost per unit? Fixed cost per unit. 5,000 by 1,000. What is fixed cost per unit? 5,000 by 1,000. What is fixed cost per unit? 5 rupees. 5,000 by 5,000. What is fixed cost per unit? 1 rupee per unit. Simple. Fixed cost, total it will remain same, but per unit it will change. Why? Same fixed cost divided by 1,000 na 5 rupees. Same fixed cost divided by 5,000 na 1 rupee. So it will change with output. Per unit cost will change with what? Output. Variable cost reverse. Per unit it is the same, but total keeps what? Changing. Semi-variable cost as, of course, variable as well as what? Fixed portions. So please take up this. Then we will proceed to the next classification. We'll see some MCQs based on this, then we will proceed. Live online friends, please take up this example. Then we'll proceed with some of the MCQ based on fixed variable cost like that.
Also need to do finance purpose and applying the same for construction of vehicles.
Shall we? Live online friends, have we taken it? Shall we proceed? We'll proceed with some of the multiple choice questions. Live online friends, the complete printing lab. Shall we? Shall we? Okay. We'll go for some multiple choice questions. It's based on true or false. Variable cost per unit remains the same. True or false? True. Per unit it remains the same. Total variable cost keeps changing with output, true or false. Wait, I'll give you time to copy. Wait. Total variable cost keep changing with output, true or false? True. Number 3. Fixed cost per unit remains the same. True or false? False. Fixed cost per unit will what? Change. Per unit fixed cost. For example, this one, 5,000 by 1,000, 5 rupees. 5,000 by 5,000, 1 rupee. When the output changes, what will change? Fixed cost per unit will change. So it cannot be the same. Okay. Next. Total fixed cost changes with output. Total fixed cost changes with output. True. False. Why? Total fixed cost will remain what? The same. Only variable cost will change with output. Variable costs keep changing with output, but total fixed cost will remain what? Same irrespective of output. Semi-variable cost y is equal to a plus bx. எங்கயாவது பார்த்திருக்கீங்களா அது? Maths. Can we write like this? Semi-variable cost, can you form an equation like this? True. How true? A is fixed cost, constant. B is which one? Variable cost. And X is what? Output. So Bx changes, but what will remain constant? A remains what? Constant. So semi-variable cost or total cost can be expressed where y is equal to a plus bx. A is equal to fixed cost, b is equal to variable cost per unit, and x is nothing but what? Number of units manufactured. Right. 6th and 7th question is for you to try. Copy the first 5. The 6th and 7th is for you to try. You understand the question? Find the total fixed cost. Okay. Total variable cost. Total fixed cost. Find total fixed cost and which one? Variable cost per unit. I need total fixed cost and which one? Variable cost per unit. That is for 6th question. Based on the information in the 6th question, calculate total cost. The output is how much? How much? 12,000 units. So please copy this and try. Those who are accessing recordings, you shall pause that and copy this. Then you can solve this 6th and 7th. Then we will continue. Please, recorded class, those who are accessing a recorded class, please pause this, copy this, then we will proceed. So variable cost remains what? The same. Total variable cost keeps changing with output. Fixed cost per unit cannot be the same. It changes with output because same fixed cost borne by different units. Total fixed cost changes with which one? Output. Yes, y is equal to a plus bx. where A is equal to fixed cost, B is equal to variable cost, X is nothing but what? Number of units. Then output changed from 5,000 to 8,000 units. Total cost changed from 50,000 to 65,000. The question is find the total cost and variable cost per unit. Based on the information in the sixth question, calculate total cost of the output is how many units? 12,000 units. So try to work out sixth and seventh question, then we will continue. Recorded class students, I repeat, please pause and copy. Solve sixth and seventh, then you can proceed. Okay, what is the variable cost? Change in cost by change in output. What is change in cost? 15,000 divided by what is change in output? 3,000. What is variable portion? 5 rupees. Variable cost per unit is 5 rupees. How to find out total fixed cost? How to find out total fixed cost? From total cost, let's take 50,000 and 80,000. Anything is okay. 50,000 total cost. From the total cost, reduce which one? Variable portion. What is variable portion? For 5,000 into 5. 5,000 into 5, 25,000 variable portion. If you reduce this, you will get the balance fixed cost. What is the balance? 25,000 fixed cost. You can take with the other one also. Like 65,000 minus 8,000 into 5. Same answer you will get 25,000. So this is your which cost? Fixed cost. What is fixed cost? 25,000 is fixed cost. For 12,000 units, total cost for 12,000 units. Total cost for 12,000 units. How to work out total cost for 12,000 units? Y is equal to A plus Bx. What is A? Constant, 25,000 plus Bx. What is Bx? 5 into 12,000. 12,000 into 5. 60,000. Add both, you will get the total cost. 60 plus 25, how much you get? 85,000 is the total cost. Okay. Yes, please. Yes, please. Kelinga. Shall we? So, based on the information, calculate the output for 12,000 units. Done? Shall we? Hello, online friends, please respond. Any doubt in this? Change in cost by change in output variable portion. From total, eliminate variable portion, you get what? Fixed portion. Here, total cost we worked out for 60,000 units. Wait, we are doing which one? Classification of cost based on relationship we have done, then based on which one? Nature we have done. Based on nature we have done. Then based on time. It can be past cost, we call it as historical cost. Then present cost, we call it as current cost. Then future cost, we call it as estimated cost. Where past cost is required? In financial accounts. In financial accounts, the past historical cost recorded. We have learned concepts of accounting. Accounts, records, which one? Historical cost. Present cost is relevant for calculating cost of a job or product. That is present cost. What is future cost? What is future cost? It is required for budgeting. It's required for fixing standards. Okay, so it is not that only one cost is relevant, all are relevant. Clear? Past cost is a historical cost relevant in which accounting? Financial accounting, to find out profit or loss, and mainly worked out to find out which one? Profit or loss. Current cost is to find out the cost of a job or a product or service. Future cost, otherwise estimated cost, that is required for preparing which one? Budgets and setting which one? Standards. Okay, this is based on which one? Time we classify the cost. Next. cash outflow. Implicit cost will have no cash outflow. Implicit cost will have what? No cash outflow. Explicit cost, you have to spend money. Money will go out. Example of implicit cost where there is no cash outflow, opportunity cost. What do you mean by opportunity cost? What do you mean by opportunity cost? You sacrifice one to get what? Other. The profit foregone from one, we call it as which one? Opportunity cost. Whenever there are two options, let us assume we have opted for option 2. What is opportunity cost for option 2? The profit foregone in option 1 becomes which one? Opportunity cost for option 2. So opportunity costs are relevant. There is no cash outflow, but they are relevant for decision making. Notional cost. For example, you run and manage your own business. Okay, you are taking care of the whole business like a general manager. Okay, if in my position, if somebody is appointed, how much salary I will pay? That is called as what? Notional cost. Okay, these costs will not have which one? Cash outflow. Okay, depreciation also for usage of asset, there will be what? Some depreciation. There is no cash outflow. All these things are called as which one? Implicit cost. What is explicit cost? There will be cash outflow. It can be salary, rent, electricity, or other cash expenses where you must spend cash. That is called as which one? Explicit cost. Implicit cost means there will be no cash outflow. Best example of notional cost is, for example, you are using your own building for business. Instead of using your own building for business, if you have rented, you pay rental, yeah. What would have been the rental value? What would have been the rental value? That you will assign, that is called as which one? Notional cost, implicit cost. Opportunity cost, cost of foregoing a profit, an opportunity for the next alternative. So based on cash outflow, there are two types of classification, explicit cost and which one? Implicit cost. Based on financial accounting principle, we had seen two types of expenditure. Capital expenditure. And which expenditure? Revenue expenditure. What is capital expenditure? That will give us which one? Long-term benefit. That will be recorded as which one? Asset in the balance sheet. What is the revenue expenditure? That will give us which one? Short-term benefit, generally for 1 year. We had seen in detail about all these things in the capital revenue class, that is first class. It is recognized as expense in P&L. Clear. Based on financial accounting principle, we classify the expenditures or amount spent into capital expenditure and which one? Revenue expenditure. Capital expenditure gives us long-term benefit. Revenue expenditure gives us which one? Short-term benefit. Then, based on element. Based on element, how the cost is classified. Any product for that matter, there will be three elements of cost. Material, labor, overheads. Material is nothing but inputs used in processing. Labor is nothing but what? Wages paid to the workers. What is meant by overheads? It can be factory related overheads or administration related overheads, or it can be which one? Selling related overheads. Like this, based on elements, how many classification of costs are there? Material, labor, and which one? Overheads. Any product, any job, or any work for that matter, definitely you will have what? All the three elements of cost. Without material, you cannot make a product, even you cannot render a service. Without labor, who will do the work? Overheads, definitely without factory or administration or selling. Okay, the product or service cannot move to the customer. Okay, so this is about based on which one? Based on which one? Elements.
Get loan and spend.
Take up this.
You're supposed to spend what you receive.
Based on element.
Cannot take. Also, you should deposit in the
Shall we? There are other classifications also. Sunk cost. What is sunk cost? Amount spent already. Amount spent already, which cannot be recovered and not relevant. For example, already huge money has been spent on R&D to continue further or not. Whether those costs are relevant or irrelevant. Irrelevant. Your school fees from pre-KG to 12th standard. Is it relevant for future education? Okay, you go, you do MBBS, there is no job available. Will you do MBBS? Then will you talk about, I paid this much up to 12th standard, let me do MBBS like that, will you talk about? No. So, amount spent in the past is relevant or irrelevant? Irrelevant. Always decisions are taken based on, from now, I move forward. For moving forward, what is the cost, what is the benefit? What about the amount spent in the past? Sunk cost, irrelevant. But many people keep hanging with which one? Past cost. Okay, I spent this much, I spent this much. If you hold, then you will be, that those things are useless. Those things are which one? Useless. For example, a company spent huge money on R&D. Huge money on what? R&D. Okay. To continue with the product or to start the product or to run with the product or to market or further, whether the R&D cost is relevant or irrelevant. Irrelevant. Success or failure, that only will decide, future activities only will decide whether to run the production or not. So R&D cost is more like a sunk cost. You purchased a mobile for 50,000. Whether you use the mobile or throw the mobile, 50,000 spent is spent. Can you recover? You cannot recover. That is called as which one? Sunk cost. Amount spent already, which cannot be recovered. That is not relevant for which one? Decision making process. That is not relevant for which one? Decision making process. But opportunity costs and notional costs are relevant for decision making. That is why the meaning is sunk cost. Sunk. The cost is already spent. You cannot recover it. You cannot recover it. Okay. So this is about classification of cost. We just had a detailed discussion about which one? Classification of cost. Next, we'll move on to costing methods and techniques. There is one more classification of cost which I will do along with cost sheet. Along with which one? Cost sheet. Costing methods and techniques. We'll do this, then we'll go for a break first. Break. Okay. There are two words. One is costing method, another one is which one? Costing technique. What is a costing method? Simple. Method of ascertaining cost. How to calculate the cost? For example, let us assume you are running a hospital. Your friend is running let's assume a furniture making shop. Will you work out the cost in the same way? Another friend is running a travels agency, like car transport and other things. Will you work out the same way in which you work out the cost for your company? No. So costing method is nothing but which one? Method of ascertaining which one? Cost. Method of ascertaining cost. It depends upon the nature of industry that you run. The first cost we call it as batch costing. Where batch costing will be used? Wherever you find ready-made products. That is, a batch will consist number of identical units. A batch will consist of which one? Identical units. They will follow which method? Batch casting method. Example. Can you give me example of ready-mades? Soap, all cosmetics. Soap, shampoo, hair oil, okay, whatever it is, nail polish or lipstick or whatever. Okay, ready-made products. We call it as cosmetics. All cosmetics, they don't manufacture one unit. Batch of multiple units. Okay, then ready-made chairs. Do they make one chair or a batch of chairs? Go to bakery. The puffs or cakes. Do they make one cake or a batch of cakes? A batch of cakes. Toys. Okay, wherever you find identical units are made in batches, that is called as which one? Batch casting. Okay, so batch casting is suitable when you make which one? Which one? Ready-made or customized products? Ready-made products. That is batch casting. Second is job casting. Job casting is nothing but made to order. Otherwise, customized product. Customized products and services will come under which one? Job casting. For example, interior decoration work. That will come under which one? Made to order. I make the interior decoration according to your order. Your two-wheeler service. Clear? So, ready-mades, you could have seen a lot of things. Customized job casting, again, a lot of examples you can load here. Interior decoration. Customized jewelry or ornaments. Wherever work is customized according to the instruction given by the customer. Okay, so simple. Each job is unique. Each job is unique. What do you mean by unique? Different from others. Batch casting, all the units are what? Identical. Let us take Pepsi and Coke. We make a batch of 750 ml or 1000 units. All the 1000 units will be identical. But in case of job casting, the units will be identical or unique. Unique means different from each other. Okay, so interior decoration, the customized jewelry, maybe outdoor catering. Okay. Simple. It is the difference between normal auto and share auto. Normal auto, job casting. Share auto, batch casting. Batch casting, okay, it'll have which one? Identical units traveling from one direction to another direction on the bike. Clear? Whereas job casting, it is what? Customized. It is customized. Okay. When the job is executed for a longer period, for a longer, higher value, we call it as which one? Contract costing. What is contract costing? Contract is a large job. What is large job? Both value and time. Okay, it will take more than 1 year time to execute the work. Value wise also it will be high. We follow which method? Contract costing method. This is also customized products and services only. Okay, and each contract is unique. Each contract is unique. But so in what way job costing is different from contract costing? Contract costing, the work is done for a longer period. Value of the work will be very large. Interior decoration, I told you, it comes under which one? Job costing. What about construction of flyover or a bridge or house, or it can be even roads, construction of roads and other things. Clear? Ships. All these things will come under which one? Contract costing. Sir, what is the difference between job and contract costing? Contract costing takes place for a longer period for a higher value. Simple. You could have seen fisherman boat. I order it to make fisherman boats. It will come under which costing? Job costing. I ask you to construct a ship. That will come under which one? Contract costing. Okay. Both are vessels in the sea. But It is for a small period or for a small value, job costing. Higher value for a longer period, it's which one? Contract costing. That is the third method. Wait, I'll give you time to copy. I'll complete this, then I'll give you time to copy. Then operating costing or service costing. What is it? Operating costing or which costing? Service costing. Simple. This is followed by standardized service providers. What do you mean by standardized service provider? The provider will decide the service. If you want, you can take it. For example, hotels. Check-in, check-out time. Do you decide or hotels decide? Hotels decide. You go to a restaurant for having food. The menu, the size of the dosa, idli, who decides? Hotel. So that will come under which one? Operating or which one? Service costing. This coaching class. Operating or service costing. Do you decide or the service provider decides timing, starting, ending? So wherever the service providers, it's like ready-made services. You cannot use ready-made services word. That's why we use the word what? Standardized service providers follow which method? Operating costing or which method? Service costing method. For example, let us take a bus transport. Chennai to Bangalore, Chennai to Coimbatore. The travels bus, you call it as mobile buses. They come under which one? Operating or which one? Service costing. Standardized service. Will they go according to your direction? According to your time? You have to go according to their time. Their time. That comes under what? Operating or service costing. Okay. If you hire a tourist bus for your college or for your friends, that will come under job costing. That will come under which one? Job costing. Why? The tourist bus will run according to your instruction, your convenience, your time schedule. Okay. Wherever the work is customized, that will come under which one? Job costing. Wherever the work is standardized, that will come under which one? Operating or service costing. Example is hotels, maybe transport, buses, taxi. Okay. So standardized service providers go for which method? Operating or which method? Service costing method. Next, process costing. Process costing, otherwise called as operation costing. What is process costing or operation costing? When a product passes through different manufacturing activity. A product passes through best example for this is textile industry. Directly, do you get a shirt? What is the process involved? Get the cotton from the field, convert into, remove the dust, seed and all, you convert into pure cotton. We call it as ginning process. Then spinning process, the thread. Thereafter, weaving process. Weaving lada, you get the which one? Cloth. Then after cloth is received, you have to do coloring, embroidery or printing and the mari. Thereafter what? Tailoring process. Thereafter, of course, it comes to you. Clear? A product passing through different stage of operations, you get the final output. So that is called as which costing? Process costing. Maybe oil refineries. Crude oil, directly you get petrol? No, there are different processes which are involved. From crude oil, they extract diesel, petrol, kerosene, and with petrol, they mix ethanol, they mix some other thing, then they give it to you. Do you get pure petrol or mixed petrol? Mixed petrol. So, all these are involving one process or multiple process. So, that is coming under process costing. Milk. Okay, we call it as raw milk, toned milk, cheese, butter, curd, yogurt. Okay, so we call it as various products are manufactured through different processes. We will follow which method? Process costing method. Simple. When a product is manufactured through distinct and different processes, then you will follow which method? Then you will follow which method? Process costing method. You will follow which method? Process costing method. The last method of costing is single output costing. Single or output costing. Sir, what is the single or output costing? There is one product. I manufacture only one product, one process. Then I get one output. I should not manufacture 4 or 5 products. ஒரே ஒரு product, ஒரே ஒரு process, ஒரே ஒரு output. Example, bricks. செங்கல் பார்த்துருக்கீங்களா? எப்படி பண்றாங்க? clay ஹீட் பண்ணி வெளியே எடுத்துருவாங்க, அவ்வளவுதான். ஒரே ஒரு ப்ராடக்ட். வாட் இஸ் இட்? ஓகே, the bricks. ஓகே, ஒரே ஒரு ப்ராடக்ட், ஒரே ஒரு ப்ராசஸ். வாட் இஸ் த ப்ராசஸ்? ஹீட், அவ்வளவுதான். அது செங்கல் சூளைன்னு சொல்லுவாங்க. சூளைமேடு, செங்கல் சூளைமேடு தான். ஓகே, they will make that particular thing. Then they will manufacture one raw material, one process, one output. They will follow which method? Single or output costing. Best example is bricks. Brick making, clear, where you have one raw material, one process, the heating, then one output, where they follow which one? Single or which one? Output costing. Simple. This is what is called as what? Methods of ascertaining the cost. Methods of ascertaining the cost. So who will follow batch costing? Ready-mades. Who will follow job costing? Customize the products. Who will follow contract costing? Whenever the products are large, there is job is large with respect to value and time. Who will follow operating and service costing? Standardized service providers. If it is customized services, it will come under which one? Job costing. Process costing or operation costing. A product passes through different manufacturing process. You will find different product, different name, different commercial usage and the money. Single or output costing, where one product, one process, one output, then you will follow which method? Single or output costing and the money. Then, can I use 2 or more methods of costing? Can I use 2 or more methods of costing? Sir, I am running a furniture shop. I am having ready-made furniture. For that, I will follow which one? Batch costing. Ready-made, na? Batch costing. Now, customer is coming and telling, no, I do not want ready-made. I want this particular design, this particular quality, this particular variety. Then I will go for which one? Job costing. So I can follow 2 or 3 methods of costing also. Okay. So an industry can follow what? 2 or 3 methods of costing. That is called as multiple costing. It's not a separate costing method. 6 methods are there. You follow 2 or more methods of costing, that we call it as which one? Multiple costing. Let us take bicycles. While making the parts, tire, wheel, the triangle, we call it as chassis, the pedals, the handlebar, bell, light, etc. and all. Do you have one variety or multiple variety? Multiple variety. Now, handlebars, there are 20 types of handlebars are there. Tires, 5 or 6 varieties are there. Braking, 2 or 3 varieties are there. Clear. Pedals, 4 or 5 varieties are there. Now, when a customer comes, okay, he will ask, I want that, I want this handle, I want this pedal, I want this kind of a wheel, I want this kind of a tire. You assemble and give me. Now, which method I will follow? Batch costing for manufacturing parts. Batch costing for manufacturing parts, wheels, tires, etc. While assembling, I follow which method? Job costing. Here I use multiple costing. So, okay, manufacture பண்ணும்போது batch costing. Batch of variety 1 handlebar, 2, 3, 4, 5. Variety 1 wheel, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that. While assembling, according to the instruction given by the customer, I assemble. I follow which one? Job costing. So, do you understand? So, methods of costing depends on which one? Nature of industry. The last one, that is before we go for breakfast, costing techniques. What is a costing technique? What is the costing technique? It is common for any of these people. It is common for what? Any of these people. Absorption costing, versus marginal costing. Absorption costing, both fixed and variable cost will be included. Both fixed and variable cost will be included in calculating the product cost, decision making, etc. In case of marginal costing, we will include only what? What is marginal? Whatever changes. What changes? Variable cost. Only variable cost will be included. Sir, will I follow absorption costing technique or marginal costing? Choice is yours. You can do any of these activity. Should I have to include both fixed and variable cost or only variable cost? It depends upon how you look at the cost. I look at only variable cost is relevant, so I consider that and decide. Oh no, I'm a monopoly. I can decide any price. Then I can include both what? Fixed and which one? Variable cost. So in the exam question, they will ask you the technique that includes only variable cost is A, direct costing, B, marginal costing, C, absorption costing, and the money question. Okay, clear? So the technique that includes both fixed and variable is which one? Absorption costing. Simple. Absorption costing, both are included in inventory. What is included? Both are included in inventory. What is included? Both fixed and variable cost is included in inventory. Here, only variable cost is included in inventory. Simple. Here, fixed costs are treated as period cost. That is charged in P&L account. Charged in which account? P&L account. What is period cost? It is spent monthly, yearly, quarterly. That is not relevant for decision. You charge it in P&L account. Charge it in which account? P&L account. Okay. Next. Standard cost. Okay. You go to. Have we gone to our Richest Street for assembling a computer? No. Okay. If anybody would have visited, okay, you can give the specification and customize your system. I want 64 GB RAM, 1 TB hard disk, this display, that display. Okay, they will take note of it. They will fix a standard cost for everything. The processor in the rate, in the hard disk in the rate, in the particular material in the rate. They will have a predetermined cost. Standard cost is nothing but what? Predetermined rate. Used for cost estimation. That is called as which one? Standard costing. Standard costing is a technique to use which one? Cost estimation. For example, a furniture job order comes. Material this rate, labor this rate. You estimate, that is called as which cost? Standard cost. That is called as which one? Standard cost. People also do budgetary control. Okay, what is budgetary control? Preparing a budget and controlling your activities according to that. You would have learned in management. Okay. If you plan to fail to plan and the Marino. Okay. So there is budgetary control. That is which one? Budgetary control. Preparing a budget for every activity for every month. Accordingly, you do your activity. All these things are coming under which one? Techniques of costing. These techniques are applicable for any of these. Sir, I am manufacturing process costing. I can follow either absorption costing or marginal costing technique. I can also use standard costing. I can also use which one? Budgetary control. Sir, I'm making ready-made products. Can I apply any of these techniques? Yes. Choice is yours. That is called as which one? Depending upon situation, you can change the technique also. I'm a monopoly. Nobody is there. Competition is not there. I will follow which costing? Suddenly, competitors came. I'll go for what? Marginal costing. Sir, I'm dealing with 4 products. One product, I'm a monopoly. Absorption costing. Remaining 3 products, there's a cutthroat competition. Marginal costing. Okay. Sir, I'm manufacturing ready-mades. For cost estimation, I can use what? Standard costing, like that. So you can use any of these techniques or combination of these techniques for estimating the cost, for working out which one? Cost. Please remember, there is one more thing called as which one? Multiple costing. Multiple costing. What is multiple costing? Using what? 2 or more method of costing. It is not a separate method of costing. Using 2 or more methods of costing, we call it as which one? Multiple costing. Is it a separate method of costing? No. There is something called as uniform costing. What is uniform costing? Similar industries should follow which one? Uniform method of which one? Costing. That is called as which costing? Uniform costing. Sir, I make ready-made products. I follow which costing? Batch costing. Everybody who is doing a similar process like me, then they will follow which costing? Batch costing. Why? It is better for comparing your cost with others and make what? Continuous improvements. Which one? Continuous improvement. That we call it as target costing. That we call it as which one? Target costing. What is target costing? It is a process of continuous improvement. It's a process of which one? Continuous improvement, where we want to achieve the lowest possible cost. In Japanese term, they use the word win. That is not tested at the foundation level. They use the word kaizen. Kaizen means keep improving till you get the lowest possible cost. Till you get what? Lowest possible cost for an optimum quality. For an optimum quality, that we call it as which one? Target costing. Otherwise called as which one? Kaizen costing. Clear? So please note all these things. Okay. So what we learned in the morning session so far? We learned about classification of cost, basics about costing. Then we have done which one? The different things. Like how to classify the cost based on nature, variable, fixed, etc. Then we learned about which one? Costing methods and which one? Techniques. At the foundation level, this is included. Then cost sheet is included. What is included? Cost sheet is included. That we will do in the next session. In the next session, what we are going to see is how to prepare a cost sheet. That is called as based on function we classify the cost. Prime cost, factory cost, administration cost, selling cost, and then how to work out cost sheet based question, MCQ questions we are going to see. Then we will also see multiple choice questions based on which one? Cost. Done. So we'll go for a break. Take up this please.